They're not merely cars, they're rolling symbols of prestige, luxury machines commanding six-figure price tags. But what few outsiders realize is that hidden beneath every meticulously polished Bentley is a marathon of human labor. Cutting-edge robotics and craftsmanship so exacting it verges on obsession. Step into Bentley's fabled Crewe facility, and you'll find entire teams quietly shaping leather from hand-picked bulls, forging 6.0-liter W12 engines that roar to 200 miles per hour, and perfecting paint finishes so glossy they're called the mirror. Yet for all its old-world charm, this is also a battleground of modern technology and brand ambition, where each new Bentley is not just a vehicle, but a chess piece in a game of global automotive prestige. As you watch artisans sign their initials on hidden upholstery tags and robots fuse high-strength steel with micromillimeter precision, you might wonder, in a world racing toward mass production and digital everything, why does Bentley still cling so hard to an era of craftsmanship? Prepare to find out. Bentley Motors Limited is a British manufacturer and marketer of luxury cars and SUVs, owned by the Volkswagen Group since 1998 and operating under the premium brand umbrella with Audi. The brand's lineage traces all the way back to 1919, when W.O. Bentley set out to build vehicles that combined racing prowess with refined comfort. Over the decades, Bentley's ownership changed hands. Purchased by Rolls-Royce in the 1930s, folded into various parent entities, and ultimately landing under Volkswagen's stewardship. In modern times, nearly all Bentley models are assembled in the Crewe factory in England, though specific bodies, for instance the Continentals, may be built in Zwickau, Germany, and the Bentayga's body may originate in Bratislava before final assembly in Crewe. But it's in Crewe itself, a town with a deep industrial and railway heritage, that every Bentley truly attains its signature identity. Inside the gates, you'll find an environment that looks more artisan workshop than conventional automotive plant. While other high-end car brands rely heavily on advanced robotics or speedy production lines, Bentley insists on a slower process that merges old-school craftsmanship with 21st-century manufacturing. This philosophy resonates throughout the facility. Many employees come from families that have worked at Crewe for generations, passing down intangible knowledge about finishing techniques, upholstery methods, and the subtle calibrations that transform raw materials into a Bentley. Younger recruits learn from tenured mentors, adopting a near apprenticeship approach to tasks like wood veneer application or leather selection. The brand's current model range typically includes the Continental GT, available as a coupe or convertible, the Flying Spur sedan, and the Bentayga SUV. In past years, Bentley also produced the flagship Mulsanne, a massive sedan that demanded about 400 hours to build. The Mulsanne has since bowed out of production, but it remains a cultural icon within the Crewe facility, representing the height of Bentley's old-world extravagance. Even so, the process and principles that shaped the Mulsanne echo in every new Bentley. Common build times hover around 110 to 150 hours for a Continental or Flying Spur, while the Bentayga occupies a similar window. Compare that to mainstream brands that might assemble a car in 24 hours or less, and you see how drastically Bentley diverges from typical mass production. Before a single leather hide is cut or an engine is fired up, raw materials arrive from an international network of suppliers. The entire inbound logistics chain is tracked by Bentley's production management software. Electrical steel, used for motors and certain mechanical components, gets inspected upon arrival, with relevant certificates guaranteeing it meets specific metallurgical properties. Aluminum ingots or shaped panels for the body might be shipped in from VW-affiliated plants. Meanwhile, the brand invests considerable effort in selecting only the best Northern European bull hides for upholstery, partly because the cooler climate and less prevalent barbed wire minimize scarring. Each hide is manually laid out and scrutinized under bright lights, with the inspector marking any imperfection. If the hide passes, it's stored for future cutting. If not, it's discarded or reclassified for less visible applications. Over in one section of the plant, giant spools of wire harnesses stand like silent spindles in a weaving mill. Bentley's harness can weigh close to 100 pounds and contain a staggering 2,300 circuits and 92 electronic control units, connecting everything from seat massage modules to advanced infotainment. This harness is installed early in the build, a job that demands patience because the harness must snake through tight passages. Specialized hoists help workers maneuver the harness overhead, preventing fatigue. The brand allots about 9 minutes for each station to complete its harness fitting tasks, though the line can pause if an unexpected snag arises. A typical harness, once in place, is tested using a series of continuity checks, ensuring that no circuit is inadvertently swapped or left unplugged. While that proceeds, the heart of each Bentley, the engine, is being assembled. Historically, Bentley's signature powertrain is the 6.0-liter twin-turbocharged W112, capable of generating over 600 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. This engine can launch a heavy Bentley coupe past 200 miles per hour, yet the brand invests 12 to 14 hours with 30 skilled technicians to build each one from scratch. If you wander through the engine build area, you might witness a metallic block being gradually fitted with crankshafts, pistons, twin turbochargers, specialized cooling lines, and advanced electronic sensors. Craftspeople keep track of torque specs down to minuscule increments, ensuring nothing is over or under torqued. At the end, a small plaque affixed to the engine shows the name or initials of the lead builder. Once a week, an engine is selected for an intense audit test, revved to 6,000 RPM in a specialized bench. If any anomalies occur, the entire unit is disassembled and inspected. Meanwhile, engineers conduct random checks on bearing tolerances or compression ratio validations to confirm consistent quality across the batch. The paint department is another highlight. Over 80 standard colors exist, plus countless custom or bespoke hues. Some buyers come with a personal color request, maybe the shade of a family heirloom or a piece of jewelry. Bentley's paint experts use spectrometry and old-fashioned mixing skill to replicate that color precisely. The body shells are first corrosion-proofed, then meticulously primed, and each layer is inspected with bright halogen lights. Because Bentleys often have voluptuous curves, the brand's painters need to apply paint in varying thicknesses to ensure uniform reflection. After top coats and multiple layers of lacquer, the car is hand-sanded with extremely fine grit, then polished using lamb's wool pads for up to 12 hours to achieve the Bentley mirror finish. The factory invests in fume extraction systems and extensive environmental controls, as painting is one of the most chemically involved operations. While it might seem at odds with the brand's artisan image, advanced robotics can assist with consistent paint flow, though final finishing is mostly human. As the body travels the line, a marriage point arrives where the running gear meets the shell. Typically, the assembled chassis, complete with axles, suspension, and the installed W12 or V8 engine, is raised from below while the body is lowered by overhead crane or conveyor. Workers bolt them together, hooking up brake lines, coolant hoses, and the exhaust system. Observers call this the marriage process, symbolizing the union of mechanical powertrain and refined body. It's at this point that the car truly becomes a Bentley, capable of rolling on its own wheels. The next stations revolve around interior installation, seats, dashboards, and all the finishing touches that define Bentley's cabin environment. Interior craftsmanship is often what stuns visitors. Over 500 craftspeople handle just the leather, forming a micro-community of artisans who cut, stitch, and shape hide across seats, door panels, steering wheels, and console surfaces. Each hide is laid out on a large cutting table, sometimes using a combination of manual marking and computerized projection to determine the optimal cut layout with minimal waste. A typical Bentley might consume 9 to 12 hides depending on model and specification. For special orders, such as Mulliner builds, even more hides may be used, especially if a customer wants a more intricate pattern or two-tone scheme. The brand's appetite for detail extends to cross-stitching or contrast stitching. Skilled sewers can spend days at their station working on a single set of seats or a steering wheel, ensuring each thread lines up precisely. The brand's pride is so strong that each craftsperson might sign the back of the leather piece or hide their initials near a seam, leaving a personal hallmark. In an era of mostly anonymous mass production, It's a rare mode of accountability that resonates with affluent buyers. Wood veneers, equally iconic, follow a parallel path. Bentley sources veneers from across the globe, root burls from walnut, oak, or exotic species, for their unique figuring. Only the best sections are chosen, cut into super thin leaves around 0.6 millimeters thick, then matched so patterns can mirror from left to right across the dash. Sometimes veneer selection occurs months in advance to ensure consistent color sets for an entire car. The veneer layering process includes multiple lacquer layers, 72-hour curing, resanding, and final polishing. When finished, each dash section, door trim, or center console looks like a seamless panel of continuous grain. The reflection you see in a finished dash is the outcome of that time-intensive layering. Bentley's final assembly area is a surprisingly calm environment, with employees double-checking alignment of panels, verifying that the iconic matrix grille is seated flush, and plugging in the last electronics. Overhead signs or digital boards track each car's progress, noting if it's a Flying Spur, Bentayga, or Continental. Some days, the line may also handle reworks or custom Mulliner requests that require more time. The brand's Mulliner division can realize nearly any request. Custom embroidery on headrests, certain wood inlays in the door cappings, or metal swirl finishing on control knobs. The possibilities can be so extensive that it's more akin to a tailor's workshop than an automotive line. On completion, each Bentley undergoes a thorough test regime. Workers run a 500 to 650 point checklist that might last hours, including lights, electronics, seat motion, and sensor calibrations. A short rolling road test inside the facility checks acceleration and brake function. Then comes an on-road test around Cheshire's roads for about 14 miles, searching for squeaks, rattles, or ride compliance issues. The brand's test drivers are trained to sense even minute vibrations. If they detect a door seal that's not quite perfect, the car re-enters the line for rectification. Next is the monsoon test, where the car is drenched in 1,820 liters of water to confirm water tightness. It's not unusual for Bentley to select random cars each week for even more rigorous audits. Up to 40 miles of driving or partial disassembly to examine build quality inside hidden areas. Despite the intense labor, Bentley has faced the typical ups and downs of a niche luxury brand. Around the time Volkswagen confronted the Dieselgate scandal in 2015, many wondered if the financial repercussions would stall Bentley's product development. So far, the brand has weathered that crisis, continuing to release refreshed and new models. Another challenge is the pivot to electrification. Bentley has declared an ambitious plan for full-range electrification by 2030. That means the beloved W12 and even the V8 might eventually vanish in favor of battery electric drivetrains. How the artisanal approach will mesh with high-voltage battery packs remains to be seen, though the brand insists it can preserve the hand-stitching and veneer selection that define Bentley's core identity, even if the mechanical heart changes. From a business perspective, Bentley's success story underscores how a relatively small UK-based manufacturer can thrive if it cultivates a strong brand image, invests in specialized labor, and taps new global markets, especially in Asia, the Middle East, and North America. Volumes remain low by mainstream standards. Bentley might produce in the low tens of thousands of cars per year, but that exclusivity is part of the appeal. Each model can be sold at a premium, and the brand's marketing often highlights the time and skill poured into every step. Mulliner, the bespoke arm, stands ready for customization that can double or triple a car's price if the customer wants rare materials or advanced personalization. The Crewe factory, employing around 3,700 people, evolves carefully, balancing tradition and technology. Tour the engine shop, and you see electronic torque wrenches that send data to a central server, verifying that each bolt has been tightened precisely to spec. A few yards away, you see master upholsterers shaping leather with hand tools that haven't changed in decades. One station might use advanced 3D measurement to ensure the body lines are dimensionally perfect, while another station relies on an artisan's practiced hands for final finishing. In a sense, this mixture encapsulates the brand's identity, bridging the digital era with time-honored craft to produce a high-end product that feels personal. If you had the means, you could place an order for a new Bentley, specifying custom paint, interior color schemes, embroidered crests, and more. You might even travel to Crewe in person, walk the line, and pick out your own hides or veneer sets. For a few extra $1,000s, the brand may accommodate near-endless whims. Over the next weeks or months, your car will progress from a bare metal shell to a fully realized statement of taste. The final test drive confirms it meets performance specs. That sense of personal involvement is something Bentley cultivates. It's part of the brand's mystique in a global automotive landscape where so much else is standardized and anonymous. Stepping back, it's extraordinary that in an era when mainstream factories produce hundreds of cars daily with minimal human intervention, Bentley invests 110+ hours or more in each example. The brand knowingly chooses this slower route because it believes certain processes, like final seam matching or the intangible subtlety of paint finishing, simply cannot be rushed without losing the intangible feel that customers expect. For that reason, you might see employees meticulously combing through newly arrived veneer leaves under bright lights, searching for symmetrical whorls of grain. Or you might see a stitching specialist guiding the needle by hand to maintain uniform tension on the leather threads. While machines can assist or do the heavy lifting, there's always a final pass by humans who treat the build like an art project. That's the crux of why some car fans say Bentley is among the last bastions of old-school automotive craftsmanship, now existing in synergy with modern tech. Of course, not every inch of the process is romantic. Workers endure physically demanding tasks, lifting heavy harnesses, bending over to fit components in cramped footwells, or sanding for hours to achieve the perfect surface. The brand has introduced mechanical assists and rotating body fixtures that help reduce strain, plus a rigorous training regimen to keep employees safe. Yet the job remains more labor-intensive than at an automated plant. This also explains the cost. Hours of labor don't come cheap, especially in the UK with its strong labor protections. Yet that cost is the brand's selling point. Affluent buyers want something genuinely handcrafted, not just a label slapped on. Some owners delight in finding the hidden initials of the craftsperson who did their seat piping or steering wheel cross-stitch. As for the future, Bentley's path is shaped by both tradition and innovation. The brand's drive to become carbon neutral by 2030 suggests we'll eventually see fully electric Bentleys gliding quietly on roads. Instead of an iconic W12 rumble, we might hear an electric whir. Despite that, the brand pledges to maintain the hallmark attention to detail: leather, wood, advanced paint, even if some customers might go for vegan or synthetic interiors to match their sustainability ethos. It's likely that Crewe's best artisans will remain essential, because the brand's entire identity rests on being an alternative to mass-made luxury, continuing to transform big lumps of metal, refined wood, and thick hides into grand touring vehicles that exude personal craftsmanship. If the last 100 years are any indication, Bentley will adapt its mechanical heart as needed while preserving the intangible artistry that keeps people enthralled. Ultimately, to visit the Bentley factory is to encounter a world that merges steel presses, advanced lasers, paint chemistry, high-precision measurement rigs, and unbelievably patient human craftsmanship under one roof. You pass from the body-in-white zone, full of welding sparks, into the paint halls smelling of solvents and swirl polish, into the upholstery department, where you can almost forget you're in a car factory at all because it feels more like a high-end leather workshop. Then you see the final line, with completed Bentleys inching forward, ready for final sign-off. That last moment, when an inspector runs a gloved hand across the console or checks the reflection in the paint for swirl marks, affirms how the brand invests hundreds of hours for each masterpiece. The big question remains: as the automotive world speeds ever faster, can Bentley maintain that slow, methodical approach? The answer, it seems, is yes, so long as there are those who appreciate the difference, are willing to pay for it, and who see in a Bentley more than just a means of transport, but a rolling piece of heritage and artistry that merges the classic with the futuristic.